Okay, class, here's some quick notes on some dystopian PowerPoint here. I'm just going to go through this quick. There's another PowerPoint in content you can look through, and then some PDF file that also has notes. So let's look at what dystopia means exactly again. Um, we get definition check here. To understand dystopia, you have to understand utopia as well, which is the opposite. So utopia refers to a human effort to create a perfect society, refers to good but impossible or probably impossible proposals, or at least ones that would be very difficult to carry out. So utopia is a perfect world, and then dystopia, of course, would be and then dystopia, of course, would be it's the opposite of utopia. It is often a utopia gone sour, an imaginary place or state where everything is as bad as it could possibly be. So that's what we're going to be reading about. Societies where things have gone really wrong, where humanity is screwed up, or something like that. All right, so for example, the stories and novels we're going to read, dystopian novels, usually include elements of contemporary society, in other words, our society now, and are seen as a warning against some modern trend. In other words, these stories that we read, the novels that we'll read that are dystopias, are going to be talking about, writing about things that they see wrong now that may get a lot worse later. So writers use them as cautionary tales in which humankind is put in a society that may look inviting and on the surface in reality, but is in reality a nightmare itself. So dystopians kind of talk about things that they see wrong nowadays, put it into the future, and then show this world as something that's gone completely wrong. So that's the dystopian stories that we're going to be reading about. Examples of dystopian novels: 1984, Brave New World, Fahrenheit 451, Animal Farm, Time Machine are all examples. The Hunger Games would also be an example of a dystopian novel as well. So those are all examples of that. And let's just, for example, we're not reading 1984, but let's take a look at why 1984 would be a dystopian novel and why it would be important. So by George Orwell, the setting of 1984 is the world in a near future, 1984, where the head of the government is the all-knowing, all-powerful Big Brother. The hero's longing for truth and decency leads him to secretly rebel against the government. He is arrested by the thought police, who torture the hero to re-educate him and force him to love Big Brother once again. Relation to the real world, what did 1984 have? What was the relation to the real world? 1984 served as a cautionary tale against totalitarianism. In other words, Hitler or Stalin, those type of things. A centralized government that does not tolerate parties or different opinions, and that exercise control over many aspects of life. Relation to the real world, again, the regime in the book could represent a futuristic England or United States, since Orwell was worried about their increasing power during his lifetime. So he wrote that book after the late 1940s, when Nazism and Stalinism and communism were all strong at that time. Again, in relation to the world, there are direct parallels between the book and the society at that time. So again, Orwell wrote that book in the late 40s. He takes a look at leader worship similar to Big Brother. Dictators Joseph Stalin and Adolf Hitler were revered and followed absolutely. Joy camps, which is a thing in the 1984 book, is a reference to Jewish concentration camps. Thought police, a reference to the Gestapo, the secret police of the Nazis, and the use of propaganda, which both Hitler and Stalin used in their, um, in their the countries that they ran and stuff like that. So that's an example. I know we haven't read 1984. You may have, but that shows you what those books are talking about. What big messages do they have? What message did 1984 have? Well, it says not to follow absolute rulers so completely. To watch out for propaganda, watch out for the secret police. Watch out for the government telling you what you can or can't do, or what you can or can't say, and stuff like that. So that's why that these dystopian things are all are very important. And again, characteristics of a dystopian society. Citizens are under constant surveillance. They live in fear of the outside world. They live in a dehumanized state. The dystopian protagonist often feels trapped, trying to escape. They exist. the current political system that they're in. They believe that something is wrong, and they help the audience, recognize that this dystopian world is not right. So these are the characteristics. You want to make sure you go back to D2L content and take a look at this sheet, this PDF file that's in week 2 of dystopian notes and stuff like that. So as well, you want to make sure you go to content and take a look at the week 2 stuff, look at the dystopian notes, and go through the dystopian PowerPoint again just to make sure you got it, and stuff like that. Okay, so that's a real brief thing about dystopia, and that's kind of what we're going to be going over, and I'll be talking more about it in the coming weeks and stuff like that. So, okay, bye-bye.